Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Zazubar, and joining me as always, I have my two fellow Geeky Gentlemen, Mr. Sid Part 2, who should be hosting this.
Sorry, Bill. I like for you guys to introduce the show when it's your topic.
Which we haven't done in like months, so I love how you just shoot it on me tonight. And then of course, I have the most fucked up man I have ever met in my life, who sometimes makes me question why I'm still alive, Mr. Milan Jeftik 1992. How the fuck are you?
I am good, and you are no longer my Jonathan Holmes, Bill. You've been replaced.
I never wanted to be your Jonathan Holmes. But tonight, joining us as a special guest due to our topic, we have the wonderful Alec LeBoy.
Good to be here, and now you've set the bar so high. Now I actually have to be wonderful. Like
I know. Well, I like to do that.
Alec was planning to just show up drunk.
I was totally gonna this one in. You don't even know.
Oh yeah, like he's like full body red
and like just come in rambling about like how he's not chocolate.
You're just gonna come in like with a bottle of cheap vodka, just in your full body red, hillbilly suit with like the ass flap open. You're like, hey, I'm Alex LeBoy. I do video games.
Which is a lot of work considering there's no video. That would just be for me.
Just do it to make yourself laugh, which you have to do every now and then. You just have to make yourself laugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what are we here to discuss
know
tonight?
that there is video in this week's episode. Something I probably should have told you before we started. But yes, I am playing video games. Just short little 10 to 15 minute bursts of different games I have in my collection, and I recorded it, and you're seeing it play in the background. Some of them I haven't played in well over a year, like Uncharted, and I'm really bad at Uncharted. I die like 6 times.
See, Ian, now I'm not prepared for this. I might have to leave now. I might have to walk off.
Why?
Because
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
all have
prepared
to
for
leave
video. I can't deal with this. I'm leaving.
Okay.
No,
Bill is leaving on his own topic video.
I'm not gonna introduce it. I'm just gonna leave. Anyway, so speaking of my topic, we announced it last week, but for the sake of those of you who don't fucking watch the show week to week, fuck you. But
Thanks. So the people with a passing interest that check out this video just because the title catches them are now turning the video off.
Thanks for undermining. Thanks
oh
for
yeah,
undermining
Milan,
us
you don't do
creatively.
that every time you open your mouth.
No, because I'm earnest. I'm sweet crazy. You're just mean. and you're not good. And you're not good at it like Ian is. Ian is the best. Like when Ian is mean, he has a class to him. You just come off as awkward and kind of. Aw, he's trying to be Ian. But no, I mean like Bill. You're a nice guy. You're like, where's the passion?
Really. Not really.
You're the sweet.
Milan, Bill, you two can go have your lovers quarrel.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Milan, shut the fuck up. No. Anyway, so today's topic is broadly the topic of video games, but the very specific tack I wanted to take with it was what preferences we have when playing video games. What aspects of video games draw us into particular franchises and particular games, genres, specific franchises and titles. But even more specifically than that, I really want to talk about story in video games and how much of it we like, because that's a really big thing in modern times, because video games have become so advanced that they're able to tell fairly complex stories. And there is quite a wide population out there of people who don't care for that. They like to just drop into a game, just know the basic premise, play the fuck out of it, and then drop out without any plot line or anything of the sort, no cutscenes. So I figured that that would be an interesting topic for the Geeky Gentleman to take, and a great topic for us to discuss. But if you guys don't mind, I actually want to start off by saying, or asking rather, what are you guys like top 3 favorite video games of all time? Modern, classic, obscure, mobile games, anything. Top 3 favorite video games of all time.
Let's start with Alec, because I knew he was going to want time to consider this. So I'm gonna
you son of a bitch! That is literally not only what I was thinking, but the exact order of words I had thought in my head. I need time to consider this. It's like my mind and your voice said it at the same time.
Alright, Alec, I'll make it, since Ian's a dickhead, I'll make it easier for you. They don't have to be in any particular order, and, no one's gonna hold you to it if you disagree with it later, so just whatever pops to mind.
Actually, no. We'll completely disagree. We'll tear apart your list just for fun. At least those two.
Even if it's stuff that we like, we'll hate him for liking it for different reasons.
Exactly. I'll be right there with you, Alec. I'll be on your side. These two bastards will be the mean guys. It's just you and me against the world, baby.
And on that note, shoot, dude.
Okay, oh god. Okay, Silent Hill 2 is one of them. Am I listing them first and then giving reasons, or does it not matter?
Whatever you
Give us
want to do.
reasons. Give us
Do
reasons.
the list first. Do the list, then reasons. Do the
Yeah,
list.
that's fine.
Ooh, okay. Well, damn it. Okay, alright, I like things that sort of make me...
You gotta see that. I want you to remember to hate Ian for this, because I was literally just gonna be like, whoever wants to go first can go.
No. I knew Alec was like sitting there like thinking, I need time to think of this. And I just wanted to put him right on the spot.
Okay, those... when you remember a scene in a game, and that stands out because you know the context, but it's difficult to explain that to other people because they don't know the full context. But
Well, no, just
Silent Hill,
list of your games first.
BioShock.
Okay.
I can't do it. You gave me a brain aneurysm.
Okay.
I got a brief moment of sanity. So before Crazy Milan gets back here, I'll tell you my list. Real
Like
quick.
he stepped away from the computer and just like the normal Milan stepped in.
Yeah. Basically, that's
Like
how.
I literally even forgot any games I've played in the last 10 years. That's how much you caught me off guard. Like I can't even remember what the last game I played was besides BioShock. I have no idea.
Okay.
Alright,
We'll give you a minute to collect yourself.
Okay.
Milan, go ahead.
Basically, for me, I don't really like. Okay, my list of 3 games I love. First is Batman Arkham City. 2 is the first BioShock game, and my old world example game is the first Spyro game. At least the first 3 Spyros. The reasons for this being, I love games with actual engrossing stories like Arkham City and BioShock because. I know Spyro is kind of like, well, not really a great story example, but that really has to do with nostalgia and just sheer childlike whimsy that he has in this game. But I really love games with stories because I can't really play a game just until I need there to be a story. I need something to pull me in, some sort of narrative hook to get me interested. Because if I just I know I hate to be this guy, but if you just keep playing games like on and on, you'll get bored of it eventually. If there's no emotional investment in the characters, it's just I don't care. However fun the game may be, I'll get bored of it eventually. But if with games like BioShock and Batman Arkham City, there's characters I truly invest in, and then there's a mystery in the case of BioShock. But I'm not going to make this video about BioShock. It's just.
Even though it probably will turn into a video about BioShock.
Probably, but basically, there is a strong narrative core that keeps bringing me back, even when I'm completely mastered the gameplay, and I know, even when I know all the little ways to get, I can basically breeze through Arkham City on hard completely because it's so easy for me now. But the story keeps bringing me back, and when you once you play the fuck out of a certain game and you get all the, special editions and all this bonus material, you just keep wanting more, and that's where I think the DLC culture started up, because you want.
Let's end there then, and we can get into that in another point in the video. But Ian, why don't you go ahead now? Just throw out 3 or 4. Don't even put a number on it. Whatever the games that pop into mind.
Jack and Dax or Jack 2,
Mm.
God of War, and Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. And what you'll notice about all of those, to get more toward the heart of the topic here, they're all platformers.
Nope.
I suck at fighting games. I'm okay at racing games. I suck at first-person shooters. But my god, if there were some kind of platformer contest, I would own everyone.
You should have been that kid at the end of The Wizard.
Ugh.
Um,
I'm just saying, I'm so good at platformers. You know, Milan said Spyro. You guys are gonna see Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage playing in the background at one point in this video.
Cool.
That's actually
Yeah.
the only one I've played of the Spyro.
I haven't played any, so.
Well, you're younger. You're the baby here,
I
Bill.
wouldn't say baby.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I mean, I
you're-
saw peers of mine play them. I just never got into it. But
But Bill, it's a dragon, and you're a Godzilla fan. What the hell?
that means nothing.
That's not the same. I'm a Godzilla fan too, and I gotta say, I also am offended by that.
Yeah, I'm not offended by it. I'm just like that doesn't mean I don't like everything that has scales on it, Ian.
I guess my
that's-
scaly condom is to go.
No, that would be cool. A leather condom. No. My top three, I literally just kind of threw out a bunch of examples in my head, and the three I'm gonna say, because if I keep going, I'm gonna spot like 10. Fallout 3, BioShock, and the first Dead Space. The really key thing in those three cases, you play as a character in a survival horror-esque setting who doesn't talk. Now, I'm totally cool with your protagonist talking and having a really involved portion in the story, but I love games like that where you can get you can go inside the shoes of the character you're playing as, because there's nothing there really to begin with except for the initial premise of why they're there. Isaac is an engineer going to fix this ship. You're in Fallout 3. You're a kid. You just got to survive. You got to survive in the what is it? The Capital Wasteland. And then in BioShock, you got to survive Rapture and find out why the fuck you're there, and unhinge all of its secrets. And you can put yourself in those shoes because there's not much there beyond the premise. That's why Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3 aren't as good as the original, because they get so fucking lost in trying to give Isaac a likable character. But that's not what made the first game work. Though Dead Space 2 is better at it than Dead Space 3 is. But that's what hooks me with a game, is when I get immersed in a fucking cool ass universe. That's the hook for me.
It's interesting.
No, go on.
It's interesting that I'm echoing.
On my end?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. I gotta turn down my microphone. Try now.
Okay. I'm still echoing.
Fuck.
Bill, mute your mic and go find a way to figure this out while Milan talks.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Basically, it seems like sorry about this, Bill. It seems that most of the people here have a real affinity for adventure games. We're not just playing games for the sake of games. We're, want to get engrossed in the story and in the gameplay. We want to have an experience, not just to shoot random emotionless bots. It's let's say gay. Games are fun only for me if I have a story element, but I already said that. But this group here seems like we're really interested in the story, and I think like we all seem to love adventure. And first-person shooters, they might have an adventure opponent to them, BioShock, but that's a rare exception. And it's just adventure games. Yeah, I think we're mainly a group of adventurers here.
Yeah, I love adventure games, and my friends always hated it because, I mean, fair enough, they're usually only one player, and that is kind of boring for other people, but
Yeah.
fuck, who needs friends? I got fucking Ratchet
I
and
got
Clank, bitch.
Kratos, motherfucker. I don't need friends. Wait.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
is
love
here.
adventure games so much. I've always been platform adventure gamer. One of the games I didn't throw out was Time Splitters 3, which had an adventure story mode, but that's not why I played it. I played it because, yeah, it was a first-person shooter, but it had crazy character selection, including RoboCop Monkey, and it had a map maker, so it was just so much fun. Yeah, there was a monkey in a RoboCop outfit, and he had like a little like where RoboCop gets his gun from,
Yeah.
like that popped out and it was a banana.
Oh, that's genius. That is fucking genius.
That is adorable.
Well, before I forget this question, let me throw this out to you guys. Are you guys solo gamers or group gamers? Doesn't matter. How do you like to enjoy your games?
I mean,
I am definitely a solo gamer.
I wish more adventure games were co-op. That's one of the things I really liked about the Green Lantern game that came out with the movie the other year or two ago now.
Mm-hmm.
Is it had drop in, drop out co-op mode.
Right.
So I wish more stuff would do that. But honestly, I just adore adventure games, and almost all of them are exclusively single player. So
Yeah, I always wanted to have adventure games with other people, because yeah, I do love the idea of having an adventure with other people, but I never really had friends, and there were never any examples of just co-op adventure games. So yeah.
I think the problem with by the way, I'm a solo gamer through and through.
Yeah.
Mainly because what you lose is, and Bill already said it best, immersion. I play games for one reason, and that's to forget I exist and I'm an extension of the character, or the character's an extension of me, depending on the type of game. For instance, I can get immersed in a Final Fantasy just as much as, well, I don't want to say Bioshock, because I elevate Bioshock to a whole new level, but as, say, a dead silent protagonist, but it's in a different way that I get into it. But the problem with multiplayer is, how do I put it? People aren't willing to allow themselves to be as immersed. There's almost a instant sarcasm that comes over the players if you allow them to communicate. So that's why you can't really. That's why most survival horror games that are multiplayer, if they have a speaker, they have to be fast-paced. It's simply not possible to keep immersion when you're playing with other people. Everyone, like Knights of the Old Republic, I think the only people who were able to make, and I know MMOs really are different, but the only MMO that actually hold... if you've played the Old Republic, the Jedi Knight story is Knights of the Old Republic 3. It's just as thought out, it's just as well written, and it's just as well executed as the other two. So it depends on... It's just, of course, I would like to play multiplayer in an adventure game, but once you add other people in there, what ends up happening is you're suspended disbelief that the other entities in the game are people. It becomes impossible. You know what I mean? Because you just see the behavior difference between the other person you're playing with and the sprites. It just throws it in your face constantly that you're playing a game that you're not really in this universe. You know,
there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect.
Yeah, exactly, and it only works for things like Knights of the Old Republic, or excuse, the Old Republic, where there's already such a pretense, and they did a good job making everything voice acted, and things like Left 4 Dead, where you kind of, zombies themselves are already kind of sort of robotic. Like, that's how they would act in real life too. You know what I mean?
Right,
so it's okay that you could tell the difference because they're already mindless sort of things. There's no NPCs in Left 4 Dead. That's why it works. There's no like friendly NPCs because it would be acting all retarded and everyone else is acting like a person. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
that's why Left 4 Dead is such a good idea. Because it's the perfect co-op adventure game, because it's just you and your friends versus zombies. So that disconnect isn't as jarring that you were talking about before.
Yeah,
I totally
exactly.
agree with that.
It allows you to keep immersion, and it actually, strangely enough, the way they were able to keep the pacing was to keep it ridiculous, and those times where it's not ridiculous, it automatically creates the atmosphere because you're on the edge of your seat. You know what I mean? So
yeah. That's why Nazi Zombies in Call of Duty was also really fun, because it's so over the top that it's a good laugh with a bunch of friends. I mean, that mode in Call of Duty is depressing to play by yourself because it's like everything that makes that mode cool is not there. Because what makes that mode fun, at least in World at War, was, hey, you, go watch that window, and if you fuck up, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And if the zombies get in, that was what made that fun. But I'd like to go to an example that Ian kind of brought up earlier with Uncharted, because Uncharted 2 was the first of those games to bring in co-op. And they did something really smart with it. They made a bunch of independent missions from the story. And they were linked to the story, but it was a lot more, it was just different. And it was more designed for you and a friend to jump in and just kind of play around in that universe. And I think that most co-op games that are in that style should do that. Dead Space 3 didn't do that, and it didn't fucking work. Dead Space 3 failed miserably at trying to bring co-op into that world. It almost destroyed what made Dead Space awesome.
They actually tried to do a co-op type of mission in one of the DLCs for BioShock, basically reenacting what happened while the city fell. Right. And it just kind of, the story element was kind of shelved, and it was just going to become your average shoot 'em up games, but with shoot 'em up game, co-op, but with big. Yeah, well, not co-op, but it had other people.
Oh, you mean the multiplayer?
Oh, you mean BioShock 2?
Yeah, multiplayer.
Okay.
I'm like, what? Co-op?
Yeah,
I mean,
now. I was freaking out. I'm like, missed something. No,
I'm sorry. It's just I'm not into the. Yeah, and it's just I'm not into the gamer lingo, but yeah, it had multiplayer, and it's just they tried to reenact the downfall of Rapture, but it's just kind of like I'm glad they're redoing it in the DLC for BioShock Infinite when they're basically.
Yeah. Man.
That's going to be jizztastic.
It is. Oh my god. You have no. Okay, I'm sorry.
To talk about.
Hey, Alec. Let me just ask real quick. You use a overhead mic, don't you? Like headphones and stuff.
My mic is connected to my headphones. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you move it just a little bit away from your face? Because I'm hearing you peek out a little bit.
Hold up. Is that a little better?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Let me throw this out to you guys really quick, speaking of BioShock 2. BioShock is one of those games that, kind of like Dead Space, it kind of gets destroyed by multiplayer. And Dead Space 2 tried to have multiplayer in it as well, and the only thing that made that fun was you could play as the Necromorphs, which was kind of fun, but only for, it was the novelty of it, and it only lasted about 5 minutes, because once you get into the mode, it's Call of Duty without the soldiers. And BioShock 2 kind of had that as well. I think the only interesting wrinkles thrown in there were the Big Daddy suit, which wasn't even really a Big Daddy, and then I think there was a mode which was like Capture the Sister, which was kind of a nice variant of Capture the Flag. Yeah.
I like that because she got mad. She's like, no! It's like, oh, that one's sorry. It's funny. Her animations were really funny. She's really pissed off that you're carrying her.
I think anyone would be.
Like, her face is classic.
Yeah, I know. But the thing that really made that kind of work was that it was immersed in the universe, and everything else was just light Call of Duty with the BioShock weapons and the plasmids, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it was a toy box, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but essentially it's like, imagine Call of Duty except with plasmids, and I'm like, yes, I will imagine that. So, I played it. It was fun, but
it was fun.
It was more of a side thing. I get what you're saying. Like, no one's buying BioShock 2 for the multiplayer.
No,
it's definitely a side thing.
Yeah, it's just a novelty to a larger, more engrossing game.
Okay, well, let's talk about what kind of or something I wanted to mention is because Bill told me this was going to be more about the story,
right? Yeah,
in games, and I think this would be a good time to get into that. Something I noticed while I was playing through my platformer collection, as it is that a lot of these have a very similar story in that it's a reluctant hero. Yeah. The main character is reluctant to start helping people, but he does, and then he becomes like the gallant hero throughout. Jack 2 is very much that way. Kratos isn't really trying to help anyone but himself, but he's inadvertently helping Athens by defeating Ares. in the first game. And Ratchet, in the very first Ratchet and Clank game, it's funny, from Ratchet and Clank 2 onwards, they're like really happy about being heroes, and it's like a cool life. But in the first game, Ratchet wasn't interested in saving planets or anything. He was just looking for a ride off of his home planet.
Right.
So it's one of those interesting things. Is like a lot of these adventure games that we're all kind of into start out with the reluctant heroes, and I'm wondering if that's the case with some of the games you guys are talking about.
Definitely with Dead Space. Because Isaac
actually played Dead Space. I missed out on that one.
Oh, do yourself a favor. It still holds up. It's a really good survival horror game. But in terms of Dead Space, Isaac doesn't know he's going to save anyone, and he kind of has really selfish motivations that the only reason he even thinks of fighting these things is to save his girlfriend. But he does end up in Dead Space 2 and 3 kind of turning into almost like a Chris Redfield archetype where we must stop the necromorphs. Or kind of Ripley and Aliens.
Necromorphs.
Yeah, it's a cool name.
Yeah.
And then of course in Uncharted, I suppose you can call Nathan Drake kind of a reluctant hero.
Yeah, I mean he's not exactly. He was a treasure hunter. I mean he's very much like Indiana Jones, where he's just out for himself, and then shit gets real.
Right.
Yeah,
and then
he's not really a hero.
Then he gets thrown into a situation where he kind of has to be the hero. Or even does it by accident. And then BioShock, I don't even think we have to say.
With BioShock, the thing is with most of these games, I think, I'm not sure about Uncharted, but there's always some sort of moral choice system. And especially in BioShock, you can choose to be the valiant hero and save all the girls and turn them human and do what you can to help who you can. But there's also an option to be the villain of the story. Or at least the unstoppable rogue. The person who will do what he wants for his own, basic need to succeed. And, it's really interesting because... What? I mean, it's just... I thought you said get out.
No.
Basically, but,
I thought you said something like that, too.
Though that sentiment is shared by all.
Okay, anyway. Okay, shut up, no. But basically, yeah, it's weird because with games that have a really strong story element and still have a very well developed morality engine. I mean, in the first BioShock game, you only had two kind of options: be the bad guy or the good guy and save the girls and all that stuff.
The first game wasn't that good with that option, which is
it's still a good game.
But it's like baby eating or Mother Teresa. It's kind of extreme, the two choices you get.
Yeah. And funny.
You can either be Satan or Jesus. Which one do you want to be? Can I be
Satan.
No.
I want to be Satan Jesus. Anyway,
everyone here has actually played BioShock, right?
No.
Yes.
I'll murder you.
Well, go ahead, Alec.
Ian.
Go ahead, man. No, I mean, and that's the thing is we've talked about BioShock a lot.
You know what? This
but I'm not done with my
point. Okay, this might be controversial. I don't know which whom. I'm sorry. Wait, who was Milan? You were talking.
I was talking.
Bad, go on.
Yeah, hold that thought. The thing is, with the second game though, it's a much more nuanced type of morality system because you don't just get two options. It's like maybe there's, I think about 6 different ways things can go down.
Yeah.
If I'm correct. And I remember playing through the second game, and I accidentally killed the little sister, and I'm like, "Ooh, no!" Well, but if you kill a little sister at least once in the first game, it's kind of overlooked. But in the second game, I did it accidentally, and it kind of affected my gameplay. I was trying to end the game, as a pure hero, but I kind of did a few things that didn't seem to be quite moral, and it ended up of just. There was a scene.
Killing a child.
Yeah, killing
a child. It turns
Let me
out
finish.
It's a big
God
deal.
damn it, Bill! I will eat your face. Anyway,
so I'll keep doing what I want.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, there's this scene. I don't know if I should, minor spoiler warning. Basically, there's this scene in BioShock 2 where you save your daughter essentially, and she becomes a big sister. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, what's gonna happen next? And she said, we gotta harvest little girls for Adam because we gotta get past this.
Yeah, that's
you know,
a huge spoiler warning, but whatever. Yeah, like
and
you've
basically-
just that's a huge plot point.
Yeah,
but-
yeah,
That's like, hey guys, guess what? Luke, Darth Vader is Luke's
Yeah,
father.
that's
Yeah,
not a
that-
small thing. That's
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
might want to
anyway-
put something before that when you put this video together, or
You said spoiler.
Yeah, I did.
Minor though. It's like,
yeah,
doesn't matter.
minor. A minor spoiler warning is like, hey, you knew Sophia Lamb before? I don't know. I don't know what a minor.
Okay. Let me finish, goddammit.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go on.
Basically- No, I'm not angry at you, Bill. I'm not angry at you, Ellen. I'm angry at everybody else. But anyway, yeah, like there was this scene that happened. Like, okay, she's gonna just save the little girls, or what do you mean harvest? And there was a scene I was standing
It's not
behind a
save.
glass. I was standing behind a glass door, and she was just jumping around and killing little girls. I'm like, no! I literally screamed out loud. I literally had an emotional reaction, like, what have I done?
Yeah.
My
It's
daughter
like, that's
is
not what I
murdered.
meant.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I had
Exactly.
a
But
similar reaction with that game as well.
Basically, but by the end, like when she, at the very end, you have another option. Either she can embrace you, like take her into her mind, or let you die. And I just said, like, God, I've already done. Like, what have I done? I gotta give this girl some sort of hope. And I did. It was such a bittersweet ending.
Yeah,
I'm
it was.
Damn. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn. Then I played the game again. Yeah. Go ahead.
She says, what she says specifically was, and I don't know if you let the people survive the other characters, but what she says is this, and I think it's one of the best endings. Yeah, it's not the extreme both ways, but I don't know if you got the bad neutral ending or the good neutral ending. I think the good neutral ending is the best.
Oh yeah, I got that one.
Is a good one where you let
Yeah.
Sophia. Well, huge spoiler warnings. You let Sophia live, and
Right.
you choose death. Basically, what she says is this: you took from the guilty and innocent alike what you needed to survive, but when they posed no threat, you just walked away. Like, that's amazing. That truly. It was just. I was like, yes, an ending that is complex. But
No, yeah,
Yeah.
but the thing is, with me,
I
it
got
was
one
like
of the- I got one of the
couldn't.
basics.
yeah, I don't think you got
I
that
could-
ending.
I
I'm guessing by
couldn't
other stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't stop her from killing Sophia Lamb, but I just let myself die, and that
Yeah.
that was just a tiny little to redeem this girl. She's like, I guess even hopefully, do you really think even I can be redeemed? And I just
Yeah.
died slowly. And I cried like a little girl. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Well, you should be, but anyway.
A little bit, Milan.
No, I'm just playing with you, Milan.
Go ahead, Alex. Sorry, I've been interrupting you. Bill, shut up. Let
Similar
Alex
thing
talk.
with the. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait. I don't remember what I was gonna say, so Bill should probably talk.
Alex
Okay,
was gonna
well, I'm-
cuss me out for not playing Bioshock.
No, I'm actually
Oh.
gonna take the conversation away from Bioshock.
Thank you.
Second.
Well, let me say one thing about Bioshock, though. It's quick.
Sure.
It's to Ian. Ian, Bioshock is so easy to beat. That's the one thing that bothers me about Bioshock, and I've never played with the Vita chambers on, because that's an insult to me as a gamer. You have quick save, quick load. You can save at any time. And they have Vita chambers, so that when you die, your only inconvenience is like you respawn like 20 feet to the right. Oh
Yeah.
no! Whatever shall I do? Like,
Yeah,
I
it's a
turn
little
shit off immediately. Like, that's a. Also, if you're new, it even says easy, hard, normal. Hard is you've played Bioshock. Normal, you've played shooters. Easy, you're not good at shooters. Like, it's not a hard game.
I don't think it's a hard game. I just don't have any interest.
Oh, well then now I actually hate it.
Alec, I have this weird thing where when someone tells me something's good, I'm like, okay. And then more people tell me that it's good and that it's amazing and it's the greatest thing ever. I immediately go, I don't want to watch it, play it, do whatever with it anymore because I'm not going to enjoy it that much. And I would much rather be known as the guy who hasn't played Bioshock than the guy who didn't like Bioshock. Because
He would rather be the.
If you guys went here and did your 20-minute rant about how awesome BioShock was, then I was like, I thought it was just okay, or I didn't like it.
Well,
then
no, some
my
people did
head
like.
bitten off. Like I'm reasonably sure Alec would like jump out of my computer screen and bite off my head.
Now, as much money as I would pay to see that, let's move on.
Okay.
Let me take the conversation away from BioShock for a minute here. Has anyone here played Fallout 3 aside from me?
I have, and I didn't enjoy it.
Oh, fuck you then.
I don't like RPGs.
Okay, that's fair.
They take entirely too long.
That's fair.
I like
I
a
was gonna
set
say
story.
that Ian's gaming habits are like literally the opposite. Whereas I've grown up. Once 3D gaming came out, and I tried like one or two. To be fair, it's probably not fair because they were early platformers. But when I tried one or two platformers in 3D, I'm like, oh hell to the no. Why would I play this when we now have the ability to render things in a way to where we don't need platforms to, platformers were made because of the way games were back then, the limitations of.
Well, like, let me say this. Let me say this, Alec. The very first game I ever remember playing is either Sonic 2 or Crash Bandicoot 3. Alright? I can't remember which one exactly I played first. I remember my dad had a Sega Genesis at his house, and I remember we got a PS1 here. I was really bad at the Sega Genesis, but then when we got the first PlayStation, the first game I ever like remember playing or being good at was Crash Bandicoot 3, and then Gex 2.
Oh, Gex! I remember Gex. Oh my god, I feel old. I feel old.
I love platformers because they're fun and they have probably the most of my favorite element in gaming, and that is puzzle solving.
Mm.
You know, you don't get enough puzzle solving in like FPSs or what have you.
Yeah, you don't get any. Well, actually,
Yeah.
except for BioShock. Damn it! We can't. No matter what. It's
I love puzzles. I mean, I'll probably end up having to put a little bit of a sheep raider in it. That's entirely all it is a 3D platformer puzzle game, and it's great because it's got all the kooky rules. But I mean, even Ratchet and Clank had some puzzles. I mean, it was more about having crazy ass weapons like turning people into chickens. And Jack and
How
Daxter.
is that not awesome, by the way?
Yeah.
I posed someone to say that's not awesome.
That's thoroughly awesome.
Yes.
And Jack and Daxter had like the strongest story out of any game I've ever played, to be completely honest. You know, it looks a little cartoony, and yeah, there's like a talking ocelot, but fuck it, it's awesome. It's an elf with a gun, okay?
I didn't know we were criticizing the realism of these games, because in that case, everything on my list completely falls apart.
Actually,
no, but
in a way, could I just say one thing just before we get off the point of mascots? You see, as a kid, I used to love. Like video game mascots like Spyro, Bandicoot, Ratchet and Clank, stuff like that.
I think.
See, as a young.
Animal. You know?
Yeah, something like that.
I understand.
Yeah, well, basically, I was like with my friends when I used to play like Aladdin game and the like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. They were all like, "Oh man, you should get into the first-person shooters. What you doing with this kiddie stuff?" I'm like, "It's an adventure." And like I don't know, just I'm really quite sad at the age of the cartoonish video game mascot is gone. Like you don't get of course you got Ratchet and Clank, but you know they will stay around forever. But guys like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, their days have passed, and it's just really quite sad because everything's just. It's almost like video games have kind of. It's sort of becoming this giant toy soldier arena, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love war games. But it's just seems like there's not enough stuff for like an all ages audience. Like I love me some BioShock, but I also love me some Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. And
yeah,
minor nitpick.
It's weird. Well, no, that's actually a big point because I think that's the difference between. I always feel awkward when I watch game reviewers because I feel like I'm the one they're taught. Now, I'm not a huge, I haven't played a Call of Duty game in forever, so I'm not quite the person they're talking about. But understand that
I actually look at games in terms of generations because that's how old I started playing games around, Super Nintendo. So each generation for me is a clear delineation. Like a lot of people are like, I played games back, and they always had like an odd generation. Like I had an Xbox and an original Nintendo, so my first game, like that's a weird combination. With me, I had Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis when those existed, or well, they still exist, but and then when PlayStation came out, I had PlayStation and Nintendo 64. Like my evolution of how I played games went with the industry as the new games came out. It's fairly linear. So I saw an era where complex stories, and I know people are going to be like, no, RPGs were always there, but not everyone knew about them. I didn't know about Final Fantasy until Final Fantasy VII. Most people my age who play RPGs got their first RPG from the first when they first bought a PlayStation. They got a demo of Final Fantasy VII. That is where people my age started playing RPGs. They may have played Zelda, and yeah, that's technically an RPG, but not really. I think that's more of an action adventure game. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Well, do you love
I think that's a Zelda game. Zelda is Zelda. It's its own thing. Like those are, you had those games. You had Mario, you had Zelda, you had, Sonic. So
those were the old school deities. Those were their old school deities.
Yeah, exactly. So when you talk about the mascots, I'm coming back around. Like in terms of like the chicken gun and stuff, I would have been the person when I was younger who would have said that's not awesome. Like that's not kiddie stuff, but like I was more focused on like Resident Evil or Silent Hill or I don't.
Oh, you went through those like teen rebel years where nothing fluffy is awesome.
Well, it's not that nothing fluffy was awesome. It's that for the first time, games could tell much deeper, much more complex, like political stories or survival horror. That didn't exist.
Well, like
before
to be fair,
PlayStation.
Ratchet and
Like
Clank.
it was like one Jason game that was kind of creepy before PlayStation. But what it seemed like to me was fluffy.
Alec, let me
say one last sentence. Let me say one last sentence because it sums up. To me, for a while in gaming, fluffy stuff equaled non-complex for a while, whereas non-fluffy stuff equaled deeper, like scary. Like for a while, Resident Evil equaled scary. I couldn't play that in the dark. There was no fluffy game that I could not play in the dark. Ares. Okay. I could care less if Sonic's girlfriend gets killed, but Ares had me in tears when she died. Like there was no fluffy game that could do that to me, All
right. Let me say this: Ratchet and Clank with their chicken gun. I mean, its story wasn't like edge of your seat, super realistic and
That's not BioShock.
But at the same time,
hold on, are you renovating your house?
Bill, shut the fuck up.
Thank you. Jeez.
You make like a ton of fucking noise.
You do. Jeez.
Don't worry about it. Anyway, so like Ratchet and Clank wasn't like super edge of your seat, gripping, enthralling story, but it was very much in the same vein as Douglas Adams and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you had like you had one gadget where it's called the robot holo disguise. And there were like these commercials for different things you'd get, and like the commercials would tell you what it does instead of like some character explaining it, right? And like the holo disguise tells you, impersonate robots, attend robot parties, go to work with robots.
See that's awesome. Like
it was just really fun, goofy, like tongue-in-cheek thing, but you don't enjoy it that much unless you're really a big fan of sci-fi. Like, the Ratchet and Clank movie just got a teaser trailer for it, and like it opens and it's Captain Quark, who's like this character that's this washed up, like he used to be a great hero known throughout the galaxy a number of years ago. But then he like sold out and started doing like deodorant
commercials.
ads.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I saw.
Yeah. Well, like the teaser for the film that's coming out in 2015 opens with him doing a William Shatner-esque, the what do you call that? The captain's oath, I suppose it's called now.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
space, the final
Final
frontier.
Frontier, yeah.
So
See,
it's like
that's
it's
awesome.
really made for people that love those like kooky sci-fi genres. It's just kind of like the ultimate, wet dream of those things. Like if you like Star Trek and stuff, you would enjoy Ratchet and Clank because it's super crazy sci-fi, and you're not like some furry anthropomorphic animal. You're an alien that happens to be furry and bipedal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Tom.
no, exactly. Like I said, now I can definitely appreciate those games. Like, really, I guess it came down to like the amount of time I had to play games, and I was more of an RPG guy or a very story-heavy guy. I liked serious stories and whatever, but it could also be that. This is kind of weird, but if you look at cartoons at the same time, they went from, silly and random to just retarded. And I'm not changing the subject to cartoons, but we had stuff like before it was like Doug and like Hey Arnold, and then suddenly it was like Cow and Chicken and I Am Weasel and just awful stuff.
But I missed the
Not
Brack show.
funny.
I missed the Brack show.
Okay, no, wait. See, the Brack show is different. That's randomness done right. Whereas Cow and Chicken stuff was just neurotic for kids. They're like, oh, this seems to be what kids want. So
Well, 'cause it's-
everything
yeah.
on
Yeah.
Steam was really stupid. So my only refuge was kind of games for a little while. You know what I mean? So I leaned away from, and it's a shame because I did miss out. Like I heard, like there are games where I literally had them in my hand and was gonna buy them when they first came out. And then later on, I find out later how amazing they were, and I'm just like biting my hand off. It's like, oh, I should eat my foot, like Psychonauts. I was gonna buy that. Now everyone says it's one of the best games that was ever made, ever. It's like, oh, son of a bitch! I had it in my hand, and I bought like some other forgettable, serious game instead.
I almost really want to get a Wii U just to get Scribblenauts. Because
Yeah.
that's a game that challenges you to use your imagination.
Yeah.
I read someone doing a review of it, of like the very first one before it became a franchise. I read someone doing a review of it, and they're like, so I was at E3, and like everyone said Nintendo wasn't coming out with anything. But I went to check out the stuff for the handheld, and I saw this game called Scribblenauts. And I like it because it challenges me to use my imagination. I'm playing a couple levels, and I'm just not doing too well. And eventually I get into a room full of zombies, and I'm trying to figure out ways to get out of this room, and it's just nothing I'm doing is working, and they keep killing me, and I respawn in the same damn room. So eventually I start typing in random things, and then I just type in time machine. And then bam, there's a time machine right there. So I get in it, and I go, and I end up in prehistoric times with like dinosaurs and shit. And I see a T-Rex, and I go, ride T-Rex. And I get on the T-Rex, and then I take the T-Rex in the time machine back to the zombie room and killed all the zombies.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
that's awesome.
No way. That's
And the guy just like, it's like there was like 3 breaks, like 3 paragraph breaks of just white space on the page, and he goes, "Did you read that? I rode a T-Rex through a time machine and used it to kill zombies."
That is amazing. That's awesome.
I actually
How they
almost bought a
programmed
DS
for
for
that.
that. Yeah. Yeah, it's a feat of programming indeed, because it's like someone actually had to consider that possibility of someone
yeah,
writing
exactly. Like, how do you even? The toolbox for that must be. Oh man.
that. I saw a trailer for the sequel recently, and oh man, I really wish I had a DS now, or a Wii U.
Alex, something you might enjoy. Bill, I sent you a link to one of these, but so there's this YouTube channel, and they're doing this show called Walkin' Throughs, and they got a guy that does a really good Christopher Walken impression.
Oh yeah, Jason Stevens, yeah.
Yeah, and he's just doing commentaries on video games. And it's just friggin' silly as shit. And he did Scribblenauts, and they're like 5 to 6 minute videos, and it's just hilarious.
Yeah,
like
really
I quoted one of the lines on Twitter the other day: "Never touch an armadillo, kids, because they're covered in leprosy."
He did one for
Uh.
Hitman that was also really funny because he had him dressed up as a bunny. Oh, it was just genius. Yeah, that guy's does an amazing impression.
Say, is Christopher Walken from New York?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I'd fit right in.
Okay.
Probably.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was totally going somewhere with all that. I don't know where, but I was
That's
going.
okay. Well, that's another thing. I do like it when any of you guys ever played Little Big Planet for the PS3?
Oh yes, that
Drew rented it. I did
game's
not enjoy
wonderful.
it.
Yeah,
I don't normally describe games with this word, but that game's delightful. That's the best word I could use to describe
Yeah.
that game.
Oh yeah, I love the word delightful. Delightful
It's
is a
so
wonderful
it's
word.
so wonderfully innocent, and I legit felt like a little kid again playing that game because it's like. Just I love the narrator because he had this great like British voice and it was fucking wonderful and like I mean again just the sheer amount of imagination that you can put into that game like create this. I mean I was a big fan of World of Warcraft at that time when I played it and I remember creating a level like a World of Warcraft mission and it was really cool. Just the sheer fact that you could do that and it was just really awesome. And you also got to see people try to recreate like other games via the Little Big Planet thing. Like someone did this amazing recreation of Dead Space with the Little Big Planet engine.
I saw that.
It was
I didn't get to
insane.
play it, but someone did Silent Hill as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Someone did Call of Duty as well, which was also pretty cool. It wasn't as the most impressive one I ever saw was the Dead Space one. That was insane how impressive that was because it was based on a legit section of the game and they hit it almost beat for beat with that system and it was amazing. The campaign itself was kind of just Mario Brothers but without like without the complexity and the platforming. But it was the creation that made it such a big deal. I really wish I still had that game. But that's another example. It immerses you in a world. I mean, even though like Little Big Planet doesn't have a story, and the character of what was his name, Sackboy or something, like the sheer like it immerses you in this crazy just imaginative world. And that narrator helps a lot too because it gives it this really alien, imaginative sense of wonder, and that also immersed me. But to go back to Fallout 3, which I never got to finish my point on, the thing that sold me and got me really hooked on that game was, so the whole premise is your father goes out into the wasteland and never comes back, and you go out to look for him. And when you finally meet up with him, he's caught in the middle of this struggle between what's left of the government and this kind of militia society called the Brotherhood of Steel. And
Hold on, is this Little Big Planet?
No.
No, I'm talking about Fallout.
Yeah, you don't
You guys
know.
remember the
Little Big
Brotherhood?
Planet's hardcore, man.
You guys remember the Brotherhood of Steel from Little Big Planet? It was like Sackboy, but he was made of steel. Fucking Iron Man. No, but the scene that sold me was there's this really cool moment in Fallout 3 where you go to this town called Megaton, and it's called that because there's a nuclear bomb in the middle of it, and some people worship it as a god. And you either decide to disarm it, or you decide to blow it up and make a profit. And based on your decision, you either get a house in Megaton, or you get this fancy-ass hotel room in this hotel complex not far away. And the first time I played through, I didn't understand the moral implications of Fallout 3. So I was just like, oh, I'll get a fancy hotel room and I'll get all these cool guns. So I blew up Megaton, not thinking about it. Went to the hotel, got all my cool shit. So then I kept playing through the story, and eventually you meet up with your dad, and he hears that you did this, and it was this soul-crushing moment, because it's just like, I spent all this time looking for you, Dad, and he's pissed at you the first moment you see him, and you haven't seen him in so long, so it's soul-crushing.
Man, that's
yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible when you find out It's terrible when you find out that your son's a sociopathic murderer.
like a war criminal. Yeah, that's.
Speaking from experience there, Milan.
Oh.
It did sound.
Yeah.
So I ended up going back to the hotel and murdered everyone there and stole all their shit. I don't know if that made up for it. And then I kind of stopped caring about because I beat the story, and I went back and played it again, and I kind of forgot about all the moral shit. So I ended up killing everyone in the game who had importance to the story just to see what would happen. And it was hilarious, the stuff that could happen. The only person I don't think you can kill is your father. Everyone else you can kill. So I killed the radio broadcaster who leads you to your father. And I tuned into the radio station, and this random homeless woman became the DJ. And every time she changes a song, she goes, some asshole shot our DJ, so we're just gonna play this and hope he comes back to life or something. And it goes that for the rest of the game. It's fucking genius. But
that's actually one of the things I really enjoyed about the GTA games, Grand Theft Auto games.
Oh, I was just gonna mention those.
Dude, I would drive around town and just listen to their talk radio station because it was hysterical. Like, there was one guy who wanted to, like, have everyone in Florida go to the coast with shovels, go to the border with shovels, and just try to, like, start digging so that Florida would split off from the rest of the United States.
And float away.
Yeah, I had that kind of shit. I was playing GTA 4 again recently, and it's a wonderful satire of current talk radio stations, especially when they start talking politics. It's great satire. It's really, really cool. I mean, the only thing I wish is that it would directly like relay things that the player has done, like Fallout does. Because in Fallout 3, if you play the game long enough and you're good and you end up being a good person, a savior of the wasteland you can become, he'll actually the DJ, if you don't kill him, will bring on guests who are actually people you helped out in the wasteland, and they talk about you. It's
awesome.
Really cool.
See, that's really what I like. I like the universe. My god.
That you have a universe that you actually have like impact on. That's the
exactly.
Best
kind. That's Fallout 3, one of my favorite games, because not only is it a cool ass universe with all this like retro 50s sci-fi stuff with the wasteland stuff, and also a cool story, but it's also that universe. It's so just fun and engrossing and dark and emotional.
You know why? The only reason I haven't played Fallout 3 is because I respect it too much. When I play Fallout 3, I know that that's going to be the thing I'm playing for. It took me, like, I don't even want to admit how long it took me to finally finish The Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So long that I went back and played Morrowind, which, by the way, has the most in-depth story I've ever played. Like, you know how most games, a lot of RPGs will have, like, guilds, like you could join the mages, or...
Right, yeah.
Not only does it have 3 guilds, with their own story, it also has 3 religions with their own story, and 3 political houses with their own story, and they all interact and intertwined. I've never played a game with so many factions that actually...
Sorry.
And they actually have different policies. Like, it's not like they're just all the same. Like, the best joining thing, I don't know what else to call it, because, you know, in many games you join a group or a guild. Right. But the best joining thing I've ever heard was the last 3 lines when you join House Telvanni, or the last few lines. It's something like,
Is it Telvanni's always pay their debts?
What?
Nothing.
I don't get that reference.
I didn't get it either.
You will get that reference.
We talking? Oh, I get it.
Next week we're doing Game of Thrones season 1, and I'm excited.
Yes.
It was the Telvanni are kind of like treacherous and underhanded, but
so it really should be the Telvanni always pay their debts.
Basically, it's like the last few lines are, if you should how does it go?
Well, anyway, dead air.
Oh yeah, no. If you lie to a superior and get away with it, then clearly your superior is incompetent for trusting you. If you steal something and get away with it, well then clearly he didn't deserve to have it. But if you should get in an argument with a superior and it should come to blows and you kill your superior, well then clearly your argument had more merit. It's like, so awesome. Oh man, that's
Oh, my God. That is how YouTube works, basically. If it wasn't.
Yeah, but anyway, I want to talk about Jak 2 a little bit because
Oh, yeah.
it was kind of scary how much I played that game.
Mm.
Like with the adventure games, something that like a lot of the adventure games I played did was you could go through, beat the story, and then you could play through the story again or just free roam with all of your weapons. So you could either start the story over again, but with all the weapons and stuff that you have from the end of the game, or you could just free roam the world. And like, I free roamed that world so much, and I am so mad that PlayStation 2 did not have achievements, because I
Yeah.
swear to God, I would have every achievement imaginable for Jak 2, because
I
I
had
did
that with the first Dead Space, yeah.
I did everything, just ran around for hours after I beat the game, just listening to the radio at home, and fuck it, I'm gonna get in a fight with some cops now.
How nice of you,
Grand
Ian.
Theft
How
Auto.
nice of you.
You know
Yeah.
what's interesting with my story with Jak, the Jak franchise, is that I got the first one first, and I played with it. Like I love that game because it was so cute and innocent. And then I got the second one, like, oh wow, Jak 2. Like, and then I saw the cover of the game. Is that Jak scowling at me on the cover art holding a gun? Oh, I had this weird choice between Superman Man of Steel and Jak 2. I'm like, oh, I can't decide. Then I took Jak 2. And basically, the first part of the game, the first cutscene is basically them, flying into this portal. And then
Yeah,
it's just
Jak
like,
getting tortured with electricity.
for
and
2
Daxter-
years! For 2 years!
Yeah, and then Daxter frees him, and the very first thing Jak says is, I'm gonna kill him!
Oh, I'm gonna kill Praxis. I'm like, oh wow, this is, like, I was
This
so
isn't your grandpa's Jak and Dexter. Or Dexter.
Yeah, because
You
I
want
remember.
really good experience? Don't play Jak 2 first. Play Jak and Daxter. Jak 2 is clearly the better game, but play Jak and Daxter, and your jaw will still drop at how dark a turn it takes.
Oh yeah. It's funny
I think-
because like
Will die.
it's funny because I remember like my little brother used to love running over people who walk on the ground, and my mom just came in one day. Now, like, you can steal cars in Jak 2. Well, hover
Oh, I
bikes
thought
and
you
shit.
meant in real life. I was like, what?
Like with this bike or something, it's like, wow, your brother's
Okay. Basically, my little brother used to love like stealing hover cars and bikes and just running over people. And my mom came in one day and said, "Oh no, why you doing this? Why do you kill all those people? Milan is a responsible driver." I'm like, "Yeah, a responsible driver." And I felt so bad for running over people. Like, oh God, I'm sorry, I hit you. Oh my
Yeah,
I had
God.
that when I.
What the funny thing is, you could accidentally just be running through the streets and bump into a cop, and then like shit got real quick.
Yeah, yeah, it's the same
Yeah.
thing in GTA.
It's not like
yeah.
it's not like you accidentally hit a cop and then you just have to kill him. No, fucking alarms go on and cops from all over the
Yeah.
city come in, and if you don't start running and get away from them, then not only do like cops on foot, but like they'll start bringing in cars with guns mounted on them, and it's dangerous.
Shit gets real.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Shit gets real quick, and like I got so bored with the game sometimes that I just like fuck it. I'd go max out my ammo, get up my dark eco so I could turn into giant dark Jak whenever I wanted, and I'd just start fighting cops and like wait for them to come in and let start throwing up alarms and shit. It didn't matter. I don't give a fuck.
Fuck the police.
Fuck the po-po with their, red armor and laser guns.
Yeah, Jak
Were
3
these
was
police
was
officers
fun.
human or some kind of like alien?
Elf people. Basically, Jack and
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
because-
right.
I doubt it, but have any of you ever played I've played a few off games that a lot of people haven't played, but have you ever played Shadow of Destiny?
No.
Nah.
It was a PS2 game that it was almost, I want to say it was like a point and click adventure, but it wasn't. When you get a chance, type it in and you'll see what the game looked like. But basically, it was about time travel. You die, and a creature called Homunculus comes and says, I don't remember what he said, but basically it's about going back in time and fixing the issues. And you frequently, for instance, you can go back in time and change one thing, and when you go back to the present, everything's different. Or just one tiny little thing is different, and you're trying to figure out. Basically, you're just trying not to die, and it stood out from other games. Well, I guess it didn't stand out because no one fucking played it, but
It stood out to you. That's all that matters.
it stood out to me because one, there was no fighting in it. You literally just went back in time and. For instance, there's this one part where you see yourself, and is it you see yourself? Basically, you have to go back in time, and someone like sprinkles poison into it, but you can't actually interact with yourself because then, time rules for some reason that makes you cease to exist in time. You can't go back in time and touch yourself because then you're wiped from time. I don't know how that became time rule.
Damn it! I want to go back and have a three-way with myself.
I knew one of you were gonna make that joke.
Guys, I just gotta say, all that stuff about, wiping yourself out if you touch yourself in the past, that doesn't work. I have fucked myself so many times. It's amazing.
I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah, we were wondering.
Anyway,
about all that.
Is that
Yeah.
masturbation
Really
or was
funny,
that
Alex.
gay?
Cheap Raider
It's
had a level where there was a time travel mechanic,
Hmm.
and it was so much fun because you're breaking the laws of time and space in order to steal a sheep for a game show hosted by Daffy fucking Duck. Anyway,
How is that not awesome?
That's
yeah,
Yeah.
so like here's the thing. There's a part where you have to go back in time and roll some rocks across the valley so that when you go back to the future, they'll be in a place where you can hide from Sam Sheepdog, right?
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. But like the problem is once you're back in time there's a fucking dragon that'll chase you around and shit.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, and so like if you take the dragon and make it chase you into the time vortex, it'll pop out and start attacking Sam Sheep, and then Sam will go kick its ass. And then Sam KOs the dragon, so you make Sam be your unwitting accomplice in stealing his flock of sheep.
That's awesome.
That's
brilliant.
wow. I think my head just
That is
exploded.
brilliant.
That and later in the level, Gossamer, who's the big hairy guy that is red, you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Looney Tune guy. He's just like a red dude, red and hairy, and he just goes rah rah rah. Anyway, so you go back in time and you make him come back to the future with you, and there's a bull guarding where you got to get the sheep to. But since Gossamer's red, you make him chase you into the area with the bull, and then, and the bull starts chasing Gossamer. So
Hold on. So you said this show is hosted by Daffy Duck, but it also has Warner Brothers cartoon characters?
someone slap him.
I don't understand. Ow, that hurt. But I don't get it. Like, what do you got?
Daffy Duck is.
Oh, I thought you said Donald Duck. Sorry, shit.
Oh.
You repeated Daffy Duck.
Yeah, but you said Daffy.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Confused.
Oh,
My
I
inability
we
to get
we
cartoons
really
looks
worry
right
about you
there.
sometimes.
I'm sorry.
Really worry
I
about
have
you
this
sometimes.
inability to keep cartoon ducks in my head.
I have the same thing.
So, like, do you watch that scene from Who Framed Roger Rabbit and just be like, who the fuck are these guys?
What is
All I
Donald?
know is-
Where's
And when
Mickey?
Buzz-
yeah, all I
No
know
lie,
is-
I was watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit a week or two ago, and that scene with Mickey and Bugs while they're parachuting, that is one of the trippiest fucking experiences I've ever had in my life watching
Yeah.
that again, because they don't belong on screen together.
Right? Yeah.
It's just, it bugs me.
It's fucking blasphemy. I mean, in a good way, but like, it's like this should not be.
Yeah,
This-
I mean, it's
this
like
is
you
impossible.
feel like there's gonna be some executives that kick down your door and like take your TV away.
You saw it, yeah. I mean, that's why the whole fan art thing was such a weird like explosion when it started hitting everyone, because it's like you could see like fucking Goku punching the Hulk in the face, because
Yeah, it was weird.
It's so freaky.
Now
You
it's
know,
just normal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I mean
is,
now it's kind of lost its impact.
yeah.
Like there was
Everyone-
a time where Superman and Batman on screen together was a big deal. Now it's like, all right,
Yeah,
They hang out on the weekends.
as per normal.
You know what? The reason I can't keep cartoon ducks straight in my head because I don't know your American cartoon characters. I have my own Soviet era cartoon characters. You know, Mr. Red Bread the duck who does not complain. You know, because there is no bread. The duck that does not complain of lack of food. He just pulls himself up by his bootstraps and salutes Stalin. And happy smiling comrade the bear that goes around and does not complain and does what he's told and shoots Americans.
I'm beginning to notice a theme.
And then there is Mr. Happy Smile the mouse who takes orders and doesn't complain and and salutes Stalin.
I like how straightforward this cartoon is, and that it has no political agenda whatsoever.
Not at all.
It's just so straightforward. It reminds me so much of the cartoons I grew up with.
Can I say something about the story in gaming? And this is something I wanted to say before, but this is completely not. Were we even talking about something? I'm changing the non-subject.
No, please do. Let's get back on topic.
What I like about what video games can do with story, and I like it better when games do this. I like stories that are unique to games rather than just game versions of something. Like, Call of Duty is just a game version of a war movie. Whereas Bioshock, because it's not a 2-hour movie, because it's actually, you have time to work within this world, and I promise I'll give another example other than Bioshock in a minute. It allows you to explore objectivism in that context of
In an interactive way.
not just in an interactive way, but how many movies explore. Usually it's either action or a story like that. There's a limit to how much of a concept you can explore in a lot of movies, usually due to time constraints.
Right.
Whereas games can do certain things with stories that
Well, I mean, it's
movies
like
just
the-
can't.
Games have the advantage of the time frame of a novel that movies don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Games still can't be as descriptive. You still can't get as into a character's head, and you don't need to because you're there experiencing it with them as opposed to like seeing them have these experiences. But like the only thing novels have above games is that you can like actually see a character's thoughts.
Right.
But with a game, you can spend as much time as you want to there.
Yeah.
There's probably some kind of graph curve where you're gonna reach a certain point at which no one's gonna fucking play your game anymore because it takes 2 weeks to beat it. Of straight gameplay, like if you were to not stop playing for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, like my example would be the difference between a movie as a game or a movie concept as a game, like Resident Evil. Yeah, the story's convoluted and all that, but really Resident Evil was amazing for its time
because it took something that other genres were doing and showed that it can be done in a game.
Right.
Contrast that with something that is uniquely a game, like Silent Hill. Silent Hill's story.
Alec, you should pick something that they haven't made into a movie to better.
Well, no. I'm using this as an example because they tried to make it into a movie. Resident Evil the movie and Resident Evil the game really are about the same in terms of how good the story is. They're not that good. That's not what they're there for. Right. Resident Evil the movie is an action movie with a zombie-esque story. The Resident Evil game has that story to create the atmosphere. Whereas I'm going to use the best Silent Hill. Silent Hill 2 is unmovieable. I don't even know how you cannot do what you did in Silent Hill 2 in a movie and still keep the important elements. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Some
totally.
types of stories I like in games. The ones that are uniquely, like, you've all played, well, I don't think Ian's played this just because it's long, maybe, but have you played Knights of the Old Republic?
I haven't.
Okay,
I haven't forayed too deeply into Star Wars games. I love Battlefront, and I haven't gotten deep.
Star Wars Bounty Hunter was cool. You got to play as Boba Fett. Or really, no.
I played that for about 5 minutes at a friend's house, and I never bought it.
Yeah,
not because I didn't like it, but
yeah. Well, that game had some issues, but Knights of the Old Republic is a game where even if someone doesn't like Star Wars, that would be, if they're saying, is there a good Star Wars game that I can play? That would be it, because it's just a great story, whether you like Star Wars or not. And it's an example of a story that would be difficult to make into a movie. It's not like other Star Wars games, where it's just, Star Wars, but in game form. Right. There are revelations.
The problem Star Wars has always had with making games is you could never make the lightsaber do the right thing. Even Force Unleashed, it didn't work like it was supposed to.
Well, no, play Jedi Knight. The only game that ever did lightsabers correctly, except, and I say Knights of the Old Republic and RPGs because they're already turn-based. Like, that's a little different. In an RPG, nothing really works the way it's supposed to. Like, you can be shot, and instead of dying, you get minus 13. Like, that's not the same. Yeah, so that's separate. Mm-hmm. But Jedi Knight, if you got sliced across the chest with a lightsaber, you're instantly dead.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to look it up because I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, the Jedi Knight.
It's not coming to mind, so just give me a sec to look at it.
Can you block the lightsabers correctly? Like you can block them with like a normal sword battle?
You hold it with as you would hit the attack button, and then you would press the direction in which to swing the lightsaber. So you actually would have. It would look awesome. You would basically be having lightsaber battles where you had to block the other person's blade, and
that's cool.
Or you die in one hit. Mm-hmm. And
no, you shouldn't die in one hit, but you should start losing body parts.
Well, it depends on where they would hit you.
They did like the original trilogy, actually, pretty much all the trilogies. Because remember, it's not rated M, so there is a limit to what they can do, but. You should die instantly if you get cut across the chest with a lightsaber.
No, I mean, cut across the chest, of course, but I'm talking about, Luke lost a hand in the original series.
Yeah.
And it was instantly cauterized. I mean, he wasn't bleeding because he was just burnt the flesh.
It really is a humane weapon.
Yeah. Totally is.
Well, because, I mean, I don't remember, because I know in the new series they showed it like they were, it was burnt, like you saw, embers on the wound. I don't think they did that in the original, right? Because it would have been impossible for the special effects.
Back then they just didn't have the special effects. They showed
I didn't remember how they did it. I don't know if they just showed the limb gone or.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, they showed it at an angle to where you couldn't see in the wound.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So you just saw burnt marks where it was clearly blackened then it was a missing hand. So, I mean, they did what they could with the special effects.
Totally. But it looks convincing enough. I mean,
but in terms of mechanics, you can't beat the Jedi Knight series. It really is like one hit. And the 3 stances actually work. You know, there's the heavy stance where you move more slowly, but your character puts his entire weight behind, so it's actually difficult. You can't do a glancing block. You have to do a full block or you die one hit. And then there's the glancing blows where you can actually survive a few hits from it because it doesn't do direct hits. It does, you know, hit you on the shoulder and like the leg. That's the one where there's a lot of spinning, Shicho. But anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. But yeah, those.
Stories, why Silent Hill 2 can't be made into a movie.
Yeah, I mean they did make a Silent Hill 2 movie, but it's not the same as.
Well, it's ass, isn't it? I mean, doesn't it suck?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, the Silent Hill movies are probably the best out of the video game movies. They did, but that's like, I'd say that's damning it with faint praise, but it's not that good, so it really isn't.
I don't know, I enjoyed the hit
crap.
movie to a fault. The Prince of Persia movie, while not close enough to the game for my liking, was not terrible.
Okay, that
I
one
have
I
never
to-
seen a video game movie I liked.
That one I have to give a pass because I have not seen the Prince of Persia movie. But
Like, the problem is they didn't...
Movie.
The problem is they've strayed really far away from the game as far as the story of the first game went. Like, really far away.
Well, wasn't it based on Sands of Time and not on the first actual game? Because it isn't Sands
Yeah, it was
of
based
Time.
on Sands of Time. I mean, yeah, there's the NES games, but those don't count.
Okay. fine.
Yeah.
No, but like the first one, the movie, it would have been good if they'd used more of the time travel. But like the problem is that like the cool thing about Prince of Persia is you can reverse time after dying, and then you'll be able to go back and like do all these cool things. Like it would look like amazing to someone from the outside perspective.
Right.
Because you know exactly what's gonna happen, right? And that's like, those are the coolest parts of the movie, when he's using the dagger to go back in time like a minute and a half.
Right.
But the like majority of the movie, the plot thread is he doesn't have sand for the dagger.
Yeah, that's
So
Oh,
it's
that's
just-
stupid.
I heard
I
about
mean,
that.
it's still a fun action movie, but it's just like the coolest moments are when he's using the dagger. And there's like this really good dramatic scene because he's on the run since everybody thinks he killed his father,
Okay.
and he goes in to see his brother. Like he sneaks into his chambers and everything, and it's like the brother that cares about him, and he's like, I just remember to press the jewel. I need you to know I'm innocent. Just remember to press the jewel, and it'll all make sense. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he slits his throat with the dagger and hands it to his brother before he falls down. And his brother presses the jewel and like sees it all happen. So it was really cool. And then he's like stops him real quick.
Can I throw something out? Just kind of based on what Ian was just talking about. I think a lot of the time why video game movies don't work is because what makes something like Prince of Persia really cool is that you get to do that. You get to go back in time and experience it. When you see it on screen, the novelty of it wears off really quickly because it's like there's a reason why a lot of people don't like watching people play video games because
I do.
I did it for BioShock last night because I didn't get far enough in it to because I hadn't played it in a few years before the past few days. So I was watching a speed run through it to get refreshed for the story, and I still didn't finish it. I ended up falling asleep. And that game's soundtrack is really good to fall asleep to because it's so.
Really, I got a bit of the BioShock soundtrack, and I always thought it was fucking creepy.
Well,
it
it's
was.
so mellow. It's like I felt it was really nice to fall asleep to. It was
Fair
really
enough.
cool.
I get what you're saying, Bill.
thing with the
Actually,
BioShock-
let me just say this real quick, Milan. The guy that wrote the first God of War game had a really good point because it's been rumored that we're gonna get a God of War movie based off of the first game.
Yeah,
forever.
we'll see when that happens.
Since 2005,
Yeah.
like the day after the game came out, they've been talking about doing a God of War movie.
Yep.
And you could with the first game because the story's really strong in that one. If you look at it through the light of, it's a Greek tragedy. But anyway,
Yeah, you can't really do God of War 3 as a movie.
no, you really can't. But anyway,
I mean,
the guy that made the first, maybe, the guy that made the first God of War game, he had this point to make. It's like, yeah, they say we're gonna do a movie, and I'm behind it, but I don't think video game movies usually work because video games borrow so much from movies
Yeah, exactly. That's
that
what I
what you're
was.
seeing is kind of a rehash.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah,
what I was
that's
trying to say before.
that's
Um,
totally.
Yeah. Why like basically good video games are just based on the good plots for video game movies are just plots from shitty movies. Like Uncharted is basically a
Indiana
format.
Jones.
Yeah, if
Indiana
you
Jones,
made
yeah.
Uncharted into a movie, it's like, why would you do that?
And
That's not.
I think yeah.
It's
I
a
think
unique. It's like, well, that's what I mean by the two different types. I'm not saying I don't
Uncharted
like
has
the other
really
one.
likable characters, so you could probably pull it off. Tomb Raider, not so much.
I didn't mind it.
Well-
I thought the first Tomb Raider movie wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
Well,
the
yeah,
first-
the first one, but that's
Tomb Raider
because it was such a novelty. Because it
Yeah.
was a video game movie that didn't suck.
Yeah,
Um,
but the thing is, and you got to see Angelina Jolie in a skin tight, silver suit. But that's besides the point.
And with a British
Yeah.
accent.
Female
And
Indiana
with a
Jones.
British accent. Yeah, but basically,
Female Indiana Jones. It's like,
with-
yes,
with-
I
yeah,
do. Yeah.
yeah, it's the first time Alec wanted to fuck Indiana Jones. But
Oh,
anyway,
All I'm saying is I'm not ever gonna play a Tomb Raider game until we get a nude cheat code, okay?
there
That's
actually is
all
one. There's one.
One does exist. I've seen.
There's really?
Yeah, I've seen
For
places.
But anyway, okay,
Wait,
but
It was,
anyway,
it was a joke I read in a Game Informer
No,
years
there's
ago.
no cheat code, but there are mods. It
Oh,
doesn't.
it's a mod. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because like they're not
Basically-
gonna put cheat code in there back then. Like,
Well, no, it was just one of my favorites. They're like, oh, you can get all these different costumes. Like, you can get her evening gown costume and stuff. And, like, the guy put in parentheses in the Game Informer magazine, still no nude! And it was like exclamation points.
I think if they did it for the new series, it would make you feel bad because it's so dark.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's just-
mainly
Oh
about
god, dude, I watched Conan O'Brien play the new Tomb Raider game, and he's just being a perv the entire fucking time through the opening level, and then she starts, like, falling down a river, like, basically whitewater rafting, and, like, he's trying to steer her, and he just fucks up, and, like, you just see a, like, pointed stick go straight through her throat, and he's just like, oh my god!
I know. I've seen like a video compilation of all her deaths, and I'm like, fuck, that's terrible. Oh my god.
It's some Dead Space shit. I mean, Dead Space was designed with one of the
No,
fucking selling points of the game being some of the best death scenes ever put in a video game.
No, it's not. It's not a
It's
death
so
scene. It's
fucked up.
basically.
Yeah.
It's not like Dead Space level of gore. It's real life survivor consequences to adventuring, and it's just so fucked up, but so at the same time realistic, and it's just so bad because it's happening to a Katniss Everdeen lookalike Tomb Raider girl, but it's just anyway, back before we get too far away from the topic, with the BioShock game. I really do think if you give it to the right director, you'll get a really good movie. And just because with most games, there's kind of a gimmick that, not to say there's not a plot, but the plot is kind of taken away from lesser, like, basic movies. The plot is just a cut and paste movie logic.
Well, the thing about God of War...
Well, let me finish. Let me finish.
Okay,
Let me
I
finish.
thought you were
Let me
done.
finish.
No, you guys keep fucking talking, and
Well,
I won't
fucking
have...
finish then! I just
All
said
right,
it's let me
then.
fucking finish!
Okay,
Don't
okay.
bitch about it!
Okay, but basically most video games has very basic plots taken from, well, Steven Seagal movies, essentially. But they have a certain gimmick in the gameplay that make them, fun, and they have the length of gameplay to best develop the character, so they, turn out above average most of the time. With BioShock, I mean, there's no real, game hook. I mean, you got the plasmids, but the big daddies and the world is just so well developed, but it's just so, like, I think they can really recreate it and make a really great film out of it because, and most games, and like you mentioned the Prince of Persia movie, I mean, there's some really great visuals with the whole time, slowy thing, but they should have, made more. They should have been more creative with that because you got this really cool idea and you could have had some really great visual fights and they should have used it more than just, kind of not
I'm
wait.
trying to
just-
remember how many times they used it. I want to say no more than 5.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
embarrassing. Really?
Yeah, but with
In an
Bioshock,
hour and a half movie, I don't think they
Well-
used it more than 5 times.
I could understand why they did
Bioshock-
that, and it's the problem with making a game a movie. He would be invincible. The movie would end.
Well, no, I mean, the thing is, in the movie, it wouldn't have worked the way they did it, because in the movie, he's fighting people, but in the game, there were the sand monsters, and you would run out of sand a lot of the time. And you'd have to get it from them. That's why it was so good. And, like, they just used normal people in the game, or in the movie, I mean. And so if you'd actually gone with something more like the game,
Well,
like, it's
assuming
weird.
it wasn't a huge budget movie, maybe that's why they went for normal people.
Oh, no.
No,
yeah,
it's a pretty big budget movie.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
Jerry
wasn't it Disney?
Yeah, it's Jerry Bruckheimer.
Oh, okay, then fuck them.
Well,
Um,
basically, with the Bioshock movie, I mean, with the game, you have a lot of really great visual monikers, a really great environment and a soundtrack that basically half of the work is already done for you. You got
but
the
it
world.
really is. Bioshock, the only thing I'm worried about, I'm worried that they're going to make it a movie and that it's not going to be good. Normally, I don't particularly care if they do that because it's not my problem. I can still enjoy the original thing, but
Right.
Bioshock is like precious. Like you can't fuck up Bioshock. Like
Yeah.
Well,
And
here's my.
they're,
Well, like,
they're gonna give it to Disney. They're gonna give it to Disney and
Well,
just like,
let me
okay,
just-
Disney, take
Let me just throw this
Bioshock.
out to speak for both a Bioshock and a Dead Space movie at the same time. The reason why I don't particularly think it's a great idea is only because, again, I said this earlier, what makes the game so fun and so amazing is that you're living in that world. And not to say seeing that world fully realized on the big screen wouldn't be cool. It would be beyond cool. But
Oh,
my
yeah.
thing is, with a movie, you can't just rely on immersion in the world and in the
Yeah.
protagonist in the same way, because Jack in Bioshock doesn't talk. So
I know, but
Oh,
the thing is,
it would be a disaster if they tried to make a movie and made Jacket. I was thinking that they
do the
picked
Fall
someone
of
else
Rapture.
to be Rapture. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
show
if they did the Fall of
Rapture.
Rapture.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could work. If
'Cause
they can just do the first game as a movie, that's different. If they do the Fall of Rapture, that could be cool.
yeah,
all
I
right, let
think
me
if
get
they, I
back to
think if,
something Milan said that I wanted to say before it's completely irrelevant. Milan was talking about the visuals and how striking some of the game visuals could be in filmed because you'd be able to do them on like a huge budget and stuff.
Mhm.
It's something like that God of War really should have gotten a movie a couple of years back because so much stuff has borrowed from God of War since it came out. I mean, not all of it's good, fair enough. I mean, 300 borrowed parts of its visual style from what was going on in God of War.
The new Clash of the
Wrath of the Titans,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Immortals, all of those are borrowing from God of War. You know, to an extent. There's, they're borrowing from each other as well, but they're still borrowing from God of War.
Well, go back and watch the original Clash. It's nothing like the remake. The remake is a video game on film. So, what does that say
Well,
about
like, here's the thing. Clash of the Titans, not that good.
Yeah.
Wrath of the Titans, fucking badass.
I didn't even bother with it.
Well, dude,
The
trust me,
sequel,
it's
it
worth
was
your
good?
time. Yeah, the second one was really good.
Wow. That's
I
surprising.
did not like the first one at all.
Dude, trust
I
me.
thought it was really mediocre, but then again, I'm not
Dude,
saying that the first one
Fuck
was
the first one. First one doesn't matter. The second one's awesome.
all right.
Well, I mean,
It's
Doesn't
in
it-
Zeus and Hades battle Kronos back to back in the middle of a battlefield surrounded by soldiers, and they're like, "Fuck yeah, we're like new gods again."
Oh yeah, that actually does sound pretty badass.
isn't there like a
how did they
lava
do
monster?
Kronos? Did they do it like God of War, or did they do it like? Did they cop out?
He's the same kind of size as in God of War, but he's like a giant lava monster.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
That
Didn't they
sounds
already do it? Isn't one of the Titans like a giant lava monster in the third game of God of War?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
which one
fine.
is that?
I actually haven't played the God of Wars, believe it or not.
Yeah, you should do
I haven't played.
at the
two.
very least play the first one. The second two are kind of like they're really fun to play, but the story isn't as good. So I know you're a big story gamer.
Yeah,
Yeah, God of War
I'll
3
probably play them in the order their story takes place.
Mhm.
because
no, because you'll be playing the PSP games, and that's not worth your time.
No, the God of War PSP games are not that good.
They're
God of War 3.
not good stories. So just,
I think you drastically overestimate the value of my time.
I think you drastically overestimate how good the God of War prequel games are.
Well, let me say this to God of War. God of War 3 has a shockingly simple story. Like, I did not expect it to be as simple as it was, because it's almost the same premise as Batman Arkham Asylum. I mean, it's like Kratos, Mount Olympus. That's essentially the premise of God of War 3.
I mean, to be fair, with God of War 3, a lot of people were upset with the ending of God of War 2, so they just pretty much gave everyone what they wanted. It's
No,
like
that's fair.
they're like, you want an amazing
That's
ending? This
all God of War
entire
3
game is a climactic ending. Here you go.
That's
And-
the same. Yeah,
Seriously, that's all God of War 3 is it's just the end of God of War 2.
Well, that's why I think if you did make a movie, you could sort of take the three stories and
No, the first one needs to be its own story. If you did make a sequel to God of War,
Yeah, you could put
if you made the first movie and then you made a sequel to that, you
do
can
the second two.
combine 2 and 3 into one film.
Okay, yeah,
because
that
God
makes
of War 3 is just a giant battle scene. It's like the
Yeah,
end.
it's like the last Harry Potter movie, part 2 of
Deathly
one.
Hallows.
Deathly
it's-
Hallows. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty much just an extended epic battle scene.
They should have fucking done that with the Lord of the Rings films. God damn it!
Yeah.
I think that's kinda what
Didn't
the
they already
Avengers
kind of
was,
do that?
too.
Yeah, they kind
You
of
know,
did that.
yeah,
Little
it's
bit.
interesting. It's interesting that maybe well, again, I'm going on to the Bioshock thing. I think this is just a quick little thing. I think if they adapt the prequel novel as a movie, I think it might be really, really good if they get a really, visual director to do it. I mean, like, I don't know. There's
What?
so few. Like the prequel Bioshock, Bioshock Rapture.
Oh,
Didn't you
okay,
read that?
yeah,
Alex?
that novel. Yeah, I read that novel. That would be good as a movie. That would make an excellent movie.
Yeah, because it's got a plot. Well, not that the game doesn't, but I mean a plot that doesn't need the player immersion. That's different than adapting the first game as a movie.
Yeah, that's why I said
Yeah.
that the idea of adapting the first game as a movie, mainly because they'll have to change things. It's like, no, you fucking don't.
Yeah, 'cause you can't do the character of Jack in a movie unless you're gonna have a giant M. Night Shyamalan twist ending, which would be weird to do in a movie. Not terrible, but it'd be weird.
It wouldn't make
You
sense
know-
in the context of Bioshock. Yeah.
What's I love about all these first person games, all the main characters are named Jack, and I know why. Everyman Jack. Yeah, it's like every single character
really,
is
that
Jack.
is that's something I do in my own writing. Is I try to go for really simple names: Michael, Carl, Sam, Jack, John, whatever. Just really simple names, because then you'll remember it.
Yeah.
You name a character. God, I don't know. Here, Milan, you've been watching Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
What's the name of your favorite character, the dwarf?
Sinian something.
Nope. See, Tyrion Lannister. It's not that hard to remember. Daenerys Targaryen. It's not that hard to remember, but everybody forgets it.
Well, look at Pacific Rim. You don't remember any of those names either because fucking the screenwriter loves fucked up names. It's like
I liked Leatherback. I remember that.
no, I don't mean the kaiju. I mean the main characters.
The Pacific Rim was good, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Pacific Rim was awesome.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
I'm just
Idris Elba was awesome.
Yeah,
I
he's-
say,
we
guys,
are canceling the apocalypse.
well, his name is simple because it's like an action verb. It's Pentecost. So, I mean
Well,
that's
listen.
different than remembering Raleigh Beckett.
Guys, shut up for 1 second. Idris Elba, I will guarantee you this. Neither one of you would, if he just came up to you, whipped out his big black cock and told you to get on your knees and suck it. Don't tell me that you would not instantly be on one knee and sucking his big black cock. Because Idris Elba is the sexiest man I have ever seen in cinema.
I mean, my first thought would be
Who?
why the fuck does Idris Elba know who I am?
He
I mean,
doesn't
that was my
care
first
who you
question.
are. He doesn't care who you are. He's just Idris Elba. He knows all.
Well, I mean, after calling the cops, saying I'm about to be raped, I mean, then I would probably.
No,
I
no,
mean,
no, no. He's not. He's not. No, he's gonna whip out his dick and he's gonna say, "Suck it," and don't tell me you're not gonna go, "Yes, sir."
I'll
do it willingly.
Let's have you explore your sexual preferences on another show.
Yeah, we're almost.
Video games, dude. Sexual.
I don't know who that is. I don't. Whose dick am I sucking? What's going on?
Idris Elba is the black guy in Pacific Rim. I don't know if you've seen the trailers.
He's also
He was
Luther.
he was the gatekeeper in Thor, and he was amazing as the lead character in Luther.
Yes.
Oh, him. Oh, okay. Yeah, a freaking Green Mile guy.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
That's
Oh, not Green Mile guy.
Doesn't matter. He's a big black British black man.
You're talking about, but no. Yeah, he was in Thor. He had the sword. He was.
He was the dude.
He was the
in
guy
Thor.
that everybody bitched about in Thor because
Yeah,
it didn't make damn sense.
He was Dalheim or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. See, when people told me he was also in Ghost Rider 2, and was
Was
the
he?
only and
Oh,
was the
yeah.
only good thing about that movie.
I don't know. Chris tells me he likes that movie. I don't know why.
I love that movie. I love
wanna-
that movie.
I've never seen a movie I wanted to walk out on that so badly and didn't. Like I walked
love
out on.
that movie. It's so good.
I've only walked out on 2 movies in my entire life, and the fact that I didn't walk out on Ghost Rider is an insult to those other 2 movies I walked out on.
What 2 movies?
Push and The Spirit.
I enjoyed The Spirit, but I went with friends. I mean, did you get to see Samuel Jackson dressed up as a Nazi?
We stayed for like 15 minutes and we were like, no, and we left.
Dude, you really should have stayed because it is really worth the price of admission to see Samuel Jackson dressed up as a Nazi.
And then
I love
Push
The
was
Spirit.
so generic. I was just like, I can't get into this. Let's go to the mall.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
anyway,
Push,
let's
Push
get
is
back to
generic.
Let's get back to
Push
video
it.
games. How's that?
That's
Push
yeah,
is generic, but I mean, like,
Was he in The
that-
Wire? Nah, never.
I'll just
Sorry.
send you a picture of him, Alec. Jesus.
yeah,
Idris Elba?
yeah.
Guys,
The
I think
Spirit is
2
one of the
hours
best
in,
movies ever. It's just so good. I'm not trolling. Like, I genuinely think The Spirit is a great fucking comedy film. It's great.
Oh, it was supposed
And
to be
really-
comedy. I didn't.
Well, it's
see, I
not-
didn't see that.
Well, basically, it's really gets the spirit, quote unquote, of the original comic, just being silly and just completely noir, except it's
You
in
see-
black and white.
I didn't get a noir sense out of it. I just was just like, I don't get it. Maybe
To me, it seemed like it was trying to cash in on the whole, what was it, Sin City?
It's the same
style.
guy. It was Frank Miller. It was the same guy.
Well, I mean, it wasn't the
I'm-
director.
There's a
of
difference
City.
between the original writer and the director. It seemed like it was.
Well, no, I mean Frank Miller directed it.
Oh
Right.
wow. Yeah. Okay.
Which is
There you go.
obvious.
There you go, Alex. There's a picture of yourself. All right, let's wrap up on this because yeah, we're almost 2 hours in.
Yeah.
All right, general thoughts, feelings, anything you wanted to say that you didn't because this is your last chance. We are never ever readdressing the topic of video games again. This is it. This is the last video game Geeky Gentleman video ever.
Oh wow, so much to say. I like video games. I enjoy them.
I like them too. I
No,
love it. Okay,
Yeah,
I-
they're all right. No, I'm just kidding. I love
they're alright. I mean, whatever. I mean, I think. Am I wrong to say here that all of us enjoy an immersive universe in a game above everything else? And that's one of the key things that gets us in a
Yeah, I
game.
love that.
Yeah,
I love
immersion.
I, love
I
good
have to
story.
be immersed.
Yes.
That Fallout 3, I need to play that. I actually own it. Like you, when I wasn't actually kidding when I said when I start playing that game, that's all I'm going to be playing for a long time. That's why I haven't
Yeah,
started.
I bet you will. It took me about.
I literally meant that. Like,
All right.
yeah.
No, but yeah, I mean, I love a good story, and it doesn't have to be necessarily like really enthralling. It can be really fun and goofy, and I'll still enjoy it.
Mhm.
Because
Just
I
a
like comedy. How
Ratchet-
about you, Milan? Final thoughts?
With me, I kind of agree with everything Bill said, but yes, video games for me, it's just there's always got to be an interesting story, and as a medium, there's just so much more potential. I mean, of course we've moved along from, Pong, like two little sticks shooting a ball at each other, but essentially, video games have a certain level of they have a one-upmanship considering movies. Some video games really just want to be movies, like Heavy Rain and whatever, but it's just so interesting that it has the length. Most video games have the length of a novel, but they have the opportunity to really go in depth in the story and the world they're trying to create. And so it's basically an interactive movie, but with all the added bonuses of a novel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
I've given my thoughts. Bill, did you have anything else?
Well, I mean, just to Milan's point, this is something I've never even considered, but he just made me realize, yeah, a novel and a game have almost the same kind of pacing where it depends on the person doing it.
Yep.
Because with a movie, it just kind of happens, but with a game and a book, it's depending on the person's pacing. No, but I also really appreciate a game with a good story. It's not always necessary. Like, basically everything I said in this video does not work for an iPhone app. I can't stand iPhone games that try to have stories, because I don't sit there in my bed playing like fucking...
See, he used bed to be polite. What he really meant was sit on the toilet.
You know what, Ian? You're actually right. You're actually exactly right. I don't want to sit there and play the Dead Space prequel because I don't care. I want to drop into fucking Space Invaders, play a level with my music on, and then just drop out. I don't give a shit about fucking a story or whatever. So I love a good story, just not on my iPhone.
Okay.
We'll just say that.
Now then, Alec.
Video games have...
Well, no. You can give your final thoughts in a minute.
Oh.
But now that you've had time to collect your thoughts, list.
Okay. Silent Hill, the Elder Scrolls series. Yeah, you know what? I can say series now, because whatever. Can't do anything about it. Bioshock, Final Fantasy 12, which I meant to talk about the story, because it was different from the other ones, because it wasn't a love story like the other sappy-ass Final Fantasy games.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of other games that I did mention.
Okay, no, I wanted the list. I was like, well, I was gonna give you time, but all right. Final thoughts, Alec.
Video games have the ability to tell a story in a different way because they can do second person. The only way you can get a second person story is those cheesy choose your own novels like from Goosebumps, where it's saying you go here or you go there. Whereas video games, the entire game is second person.
You are going down a road and a traveler tells you that free will does not exist. If you agree, go to page 56. If you disagree, go to page 56.
See, but that's actually why I liked speech RPGs, where there's no board or anything, and it's just you and friends kind of coming up with a story. It's almost like improv comedy without the comedy. I really enjoy that. I love doing that. Anyway.
Those are fun.
Those are really fun.
Anyway. Yeah, but guys, thanks for
improv comedy without the comedy, the best kind of comedy there is.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for all the fun. This was a good one. We got a little all over the place, but that's okay because we had some laughs along the way.
It is
and we
Geeky
shared
Gentleman
some good
after all.
times, and I'm going to remember this forever. And if I ever forget, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
I hope you guys enjoyed me playing video games in the background. I'm
I
really bad at
certainly
some
didn't.
of those now. I'm really bad at some of them. I'm talking to the audience, Bill. I don't care about you anymore.
Dun, dun, dun.
Shadow Hearts 2. That too. Sorry. One of the sorry.
I hope you guys enjoyed me playing video games. And next week, I'm so fucking pumped. And if either of you two, Milan or Bill, fuck up and cop out on me and don't come, I'm going to murder your faces. We are doing season 1 of Game of Thrones.
I feel bad now, Ian. We'll talk after the show.
What?
Well, hey, hang on. We'll talk after the show.
Dude, I gave you like 3 weeks notice.
We'll talk after the show.
I'm going to kill your face, Bill.
You probably are, but we'll talk after the show.
I hate this kid. Alright. Damn it, now I'm all
Okay.
disappointed.
Well, I'll just say
Hey,
this way.
you have me. You have me.
Yeah, but I wanted Bill.
No one likes you.
Aw. That is a
That's
lie,
okay.
Bill. That is a lie, Bill. Because if you truly didn't like me, you wouldn't put up with the shit I spit at you guys with my voice.
That is actually legitimately true.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway, what were you about to say, Bill?
I was gonna say something.
Okay, never mind. Anyway, everybody, thank you for listening. Until next time, I'm the philosopher.
I'm the fanatic.
And I am the madman.
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.